I had the wonderful opportunity to look at 4 of the Doris Duke Ottoman velvets recently in preparation and sort of collaboration for Amanda's Scholar in Residency here. And I will be the first one to say that velvets, this is my first deep dip into velvets. And so I will just walk you through what I did, and Amanda will take it from there. Cotton is a great dyer, but there's nothing like silk. It's just those incredibly vibrant colors and the sheen are what it's about. So these are the 4 pieces that I did the analysis on, and you will recognize them all really from Keelan's slides. There weren't really any huge surprises, and basically what we're dealing with is a warp face textile that is in the areas that we call voided, in what you see as the light areas. It's a satin weave. It's a 4-1 satin weave. And the pile, which is the color, is a supplemental warp. So it comes separately from the, it's wired separately into the loom from the foundation fibers. And then there is any number of other things going on. There's a cotton weft that is called the binding weft. It's basically a ground cloth. And then the fiber that makes up the silk pile alternately disappears underneath everything and floats on the back. And then on the back, there's a system of extra wefts that are binding wefts. Hold all of that together on the back, which you'll see in a minute. There weren't too many surprises except for, the other thing that is really important to know about these pieces is that taking close-up shots of 50 times to 200 times with a USB microscope, it is very clear that all of the surface of the textile would have had metallic wrapped silk core threads in a weft-wise direction. And in some cases, that weft goes underneath and goes in the pile and is just, you don't see it. And in some cases, it actually goes to the back of the cloth and goes over, and in some cases, it turns around and comes back. I had to rely upon just another method of trying to gather information from these pieces. So of course, you know, where I always start is obverse reverse and take my pictures so that at least the images can be compared, and a lot of information can be, you know, determined from that. So that's what that is going on. And then I created a system of photographs that I basically did for every single piece. And I think that, yeah, there were 30 photographs that I took, and the before and after, and each one has a number. So there's the number of the object and then dash the photo number. And if you look at my log, you can see exactly what am I trying to do. Satin ground, 50 times, binding weft. So we can actually take things and compare them to other cloths if they're likewise dealt with. So the one was whatever that last one was, which was, I don't really need to go back, but it was the ground warp, pile warp on the front and back, the ground weft, which is just revealed here, and then the micrographs. The reverse binding weft, and in this case, we're looking at these very narrow threads going through here. The metal wrapped silk supplemental weft, and there's enough variety that sort of seems to speak to some of the issues that Amanda will be talking to you about in terms of making and selling and representing these cloths. And you can see that, some of them are just wound tighter, and some of them are not. And what I found was where the metal was not wound as tight, that was where most of the loss was. Those textiles really had very little metal left. And so then I did a sheet like this that essentially went over all of my points of reference, and then by exact function of whatever the fiber was, and It's there for anybody to study, should anybody want to do that. So what we found, essentially, so this is always in the same order, from the lowest number, 85.3, to 85.6.1, 6.2, and then 7.1. And so, and these two, you notice those two that looked so identical, there's possibly a thought that those were absolutely identical off the same loom, as they would warp up a loom and then do many cloths of the same type. So these two tended to be very much the same. This one still fits into that category, and it's interesting that these 5 warp groups are clustered like that, and I'm not sure that we really figured that out absolutely yet, why that would be. And then this one is a much more overall surface. At one point we were thinking that maybe that is an economization of costly fibers. But then really when you look at this one, it's not really as if there's more, they're just more spread out. It's not a dense weave on any of them. And then the pile warp. So the pile warp, you can see, these are the reverse, and that's again 85.3, 6.1, 6.2, 7.3. And any place where there's a dark little spot there, that's where the warp, the silk warp that creates the pile, is shooting through to the front. So that's a tuft. And then these binding wefts are holding the whole thing together. And where you have a textile that has a vertical color arrangement, so there's green on this side, there's red in the middle, there's green on this side, the back will always just be one of those colors. Where you have a mixing horizontally of colors, you have alternating, so it's mostly red on the top because the blue's probably going through. Or it would be blue on the top and the red would be going through. So you have both of them that have to be held by the binding weft in the back. And then we, considered the ground weft and, how twisted was it, and S-twist, how many plies and all of that. And generally with these cloths, they seem to come in pairs of 2 wefts.